Today is May 1st, 2024. Welcome back to the Gen Z Speaks podcast. There's a lot happening in the world that I want to talk about today. Some important and serious issues. Number one, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
How much money do you think the U.S. has given to Israel since its founding?
Since its founding?
Yeah. Just as an estimate.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a gotcha question. I just want to know,
no, yeah,
how much money you think.
It's in the billions. Maybe I want to say like 30.
30 billion?
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Times that, my friend.
Yeah.
Times that by 10.
300
We
billion.
have given Israel $300 billion in economic and military assistance. $300 billion.
That's a lot of money.
That is an insane amount of money
That's
to
a lot of
one
money.
single country. So when a lot of people ask, it's a valid question, why should Americans care about what's happening between Israel and in Israel, what's
Yeah.
happening, the war, right, between Gaza and the IDF? That's why we should care, because our taxpayer money is literally going to help Israel fight this war,
Yeah.
which is killing innocent civilians. Do you see, you asked me before, right? Why? That's why, there's been so much uproar by these students, because it's not just the United States government. By the way, that's just the United States government.
Right.
I don't even know how much money these individual universities give to Israel in terms of investments that they have in their endowment. So that's why a lot of people are asking, why are these students protesting? Why are they
Yeah.
so appalled by what Israel is doing? They're mad at the university because the university is not disclosing their investments.
Okay.
And according to some reports, USC specifically, my
Yeah.
alma mater, has about 2% of its endowment specifically in Israel. And a lot of the students are saying these institutions are directly benefiting from Israel's war because of their investments, right?
Right.
And the call of these student protesters is to divest from these companies.
So how are they profiting directly from the war?
Because they have,
universities.
so that's one of the reasons why,
Yeah.
right? So one of the reasons is we don't know which specific investments they
So
have.
that's what the worry is.
Got
it.
And they're saying, what if there are ways
Yeah.
in which the university is benefiting directly from the war, because they might have some military investments,
Yeah.
right? Like a military contractor company in Israel.
Oh.
So we don't know. They're asking for transparency,
Yeah.
and they're asking these universities to release a statement about what's specific,
What's
calling
going
out Israel for its war
Right.
crimes. And
So this is with privates. How about like UCLA?
same
Same
UC,
thing.
UCs have
Mhm.
endowments too. Every
But that has to be
institution.
public, no? Because it's a public university.
I don't know specifically with UCLA, but I don't think it
Okay.
is, because the students are saying they're
Yeah.
refusing. Sorry, UC. I just saw the UC. I think it's called the Regency system that
Okay.
controls it. They're refusing to divest from Israel, so they do have endowments.
They do have endowments.
Yeah.
there. But
And the
okay.
thing is, you're paying so much money to
Yeah.
these colleges,
Yeah.
and you don't know where the money is going.
That's what I mean. But that's also their prerogative, right? You have a decision to go to USC. They have a
Right.
decision to spend their money where they want.
But I have the right to call for transparency.
you do.
That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what these students are
I see
saying.
what you're saying.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you know what I'm saying. They have
Yeah.
the right to call for
But
transparency.
it doesn't mean USC has to give it. Or not just USC, but all these. I don't want to just call out them, right? But all these colleges.
It is their prerogative not
Mhm.
to give it.
Right.
But morally, is that the right choice? You know what I'm saying? And these students
True.
should have the right to call
Yeah.
on them, just
No,
as a
yeah,
freedom of
there's nothing
speech.
wrong
Yeah,
with that, yeah.
because a lot of people are saying, why are these students? What don't they have other things to do, like partying and stuff? And it's like a ridiculous
Yeah.
argument, because they're doing something that's actually good
Yeah, no,
for the world.
I definitely understand why everyone's doing it. I'm honestly just at a point where it's just very weird why Americans are attacking other Americans. That to me is like, where are we right now? We're in America. Like, I understand this is happening halfway across the world, man. And for us to be attacking people that are supposed to be like our brothers and sisters, like in the country, I mean, it's not cool. It means very, very sensitive, right? Because it's like Zionist versus, but it's like, it's just tough, man.
What you're referring to specifically, for people who don't know what happened, just happened.
Right.
Well, last night it happened, April 30th. Well, I guess
It was
May
like 2
1st as well,
a.m.,
right?
Yeah.
But it happened very recently, in the last 12 or 14 hours. At UCLA, there's an encampment, a pro-Palestinian protest encampment that's calling the university to divest their investments.
Yeah.
Now, in the past, at these institutions, they've been calling in the police to crack down on these protesters, arrest them, and stop the encampments. They have not worked.
Mhm.
The police have misused their power in a lot of these instances. But what happened yesterday was the police stood down, so they didn't directly interfere. And what happened was a lot of pro-Israeli protesters. I
Yeah.
guess they're not protesters actually. I would say a mob because what are they protesting for? They attacked the
Yeah.
pro-Palestinian movement. They attacked the encampment.
They didn't.
So they took
Yeah.
power in their own hands.
Yeah.
You don't have the right to attack somebody.
You don't have the right to attack.
That's
anybody.
what they did.
Yeah.
They literally took power in their own hands and they attacked a peaceful group of protesters at UCLA.
Yeah. So I get it. You have the right to speak what you want. You don't have the right to attack, right?
Exactly.
Something I will say though, I where they're coming from though is these protesters are trying to take money away from Israel, right? And these people that are attacking have a strong affinity for Israel, probably because they're Jewish or whatever. And so I think obviously they're not doing it the right way. Maybe they should have a peaceful protest back. I think that's where they're coming from though.
100%. I'm all for counter protests.
Yeah.
Like if the pro-Israeli group wants to counter protest
Yeah.
peacefully, by all means do it. I will fight for your right to do it. But don't go violently attacking
Yeah.
the pro-Palestinian students.
Yeah.
And by the way, what ticks me off the most is this is pro-Israeli mob.
Yeah.
They weren't even students. They're like local
They're- yeah,
residents of Los
residents.
Angeles.
Right.
So first of all, you have no right to interfere on a university matter, and you're literally beating up kids. You're beating up kids. Our friend Yusuf Khwaja,
Yeah.
our friend Yusuf Khwaja, he worked with us on a
With us.
movie. He was a PA, a production assistant last year on a short film we made, and this guy was defending the barricades at UCLA. So a lot of these protesters have formed a barricade to
Mm.
protect themselves, and they're using umbrellas. That's the limited amount of resources they
Right.
have. So he was holding onto the umbrella to protect the barricade, and a pro-Israeli supporter,
Yeah.
he grabs his umbrella, grabs the keifa, which is like what's a
scarf?
shawl, like a scarf, like a
Yeah.
Palestinian scarf that they wear. He grabs him with the keifa, drags him to the floor, and 10 guys. I just talked to him on the phone. This is his account. 10 guys jumped him, literally. 10 guys jumped him, and one of them hit him with a metal rod. And if you see, we'll put the picture right now. We'll put the picture down below. But his head is literally bleeding.
Right.
He just got out of the hospital. He had a mild concussion. Thankfully, he's fine. But if you see his photo, literally blood is dripping
Yeah.
down his head.
No, it sucks, man.
And if that metal rod would have hit a specific part of his brain, like a little bit harder or in the wrong
Yeah,
place,
if you got hit in the temple, dude, it would have been
he could have
tough.
died.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not just him, by the way. He said when he was at the hospital, there was like 20 other people from that protest
Right.
getting treatment.
Dude, I saw someone with bear spray.
Yeah,
Spraying
they
down
were.
bear spray.
What is? Why are they using They're using pepper spray against
Yeah.
students. It's not even the
It's for
police.
bears, bro.
Yeah,
It's for
dude.
bears.
It could blind you.
Yeah.
That's not like. So why are they doing? I don't understand where this much hate is coming from.
All
know?
I know, dude, is look. I'm not super versed in all this. I can just speak on my opinion.
Yeah.
I just think it's just being blown out of proportion, man. I get like we're for like Islam and like you have to protect your like fellow Islamic brothers, whatever, in Palestine, whatever. But and they're trying to protect like their fellow like Jews or whatever.
But it's not supposed to be a religious conflict.
But it
though.
is. It has turned. It's just reality. It's not supposed to be, but it's just reality. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
it's turned
human
into.
nature.
That's human
it's
nature.
human nature, but it's
So-
about power, politics, and life. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll let you finish. What are you saying?
So my whole point in saying that maybe it shouldn't be. It's supposed to be about politics and just like geographical politics, right? That's technically what it's supposed to be about, or no?
It's if you look at history, right? Like I don't like how
But
deep
it's
do we want to delve?
geography.
At the end of the day, it's about land. Right?
That's
It's
what I'm
about
trying
land.
to say. So
Yeah.
it's about land. It's like it's geography, politics. That's what's going on. Some people like Israel wants to take the Palestinian. Like the land is basically what the problem is, right? But this land, I think if Palestine were Jews and Israel were Jews, this wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be nearly as much of it. But because Palestine is Muslim and Israel is Jewish, there becomes conflict.
Actually, do you know a
Mhm.
lot of Christians live in Palestine? It's not just all Muslims. It's so many Christians live there. I don't know the specific percentage,
Yeah.
but there's a huge Christian population.
And there's a lot of Christians that live in Israel as well.
Yeah, but specifically, the
Yeah.
Christians are persecuted as well. It's not just the Muslims; it's the Christians as well.
That are being persecuted in
Yeah,
Palestine. You're saying?
in Palestine.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But
So
is it an Islamic state? Would
it's
you say?
a majority Muslim
So
place.
that's my point,
Yeah.
right? It's majority Muslim, and so it's now become like this religious war. That's what it's becoming. That's just becoming reality. It's
Which is not
supposed to
the way
be.
it's supposed to be.
It's not.
But yeah,
But
it's
everyone's taking it this way, and that's my problem. It's like we're halfway around the world, and we're taking it into a religious war right now. I mean, I also seen something that's not cool. I saw it on UC. It was like a UCLA. It was a reel actually on Instagram, and these pro-Palestinians, they're not letting Jewish students into the campus.
right.
That's not okay either, right?
Yeah, of course it's not okay.
Yeah,
like
but my whole thing is like I'm not advocating for Jewish. I'm not advocating for Muslims. I'm just or Palestine or Israel, whatever you want to say. I'm just saying the way it is right now. It's like it's just madness.
so there's a lot to
Unpack there.
unpack there. That's the right word. I think number one, it's deeper than just a land issue. There's a lot that's happened in the last, since 1945, since
Right.
World War II. And there's a lot that's happened. And there's a lot that happened even before then, right?
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to delve into that. I want to talk about the student protests that are happening. So right now in the United States, there are over 40 encampments. And
Right.
each of these institutions has a different story in how they've dealt with these protesters.
Okay.
For example, Brown University. They actually reached a deal with the protesters because Brown University is taking a vote on
Yeah.
whether or not they should divest.
Okay.
Problem, so they were
Yeah.
like, okay, fine. If you take the vote, we'll stop the encampment and we'll go ahead with this
Yeah.
route. At Columbia, though,
Right.
something else happened. Right? They took the pro-Palestinian protesters. They took over a hall there that's like notorious for student takeovers. In 1968, the anti-Vietnam. When anti-Vietnam, when people were protesting against the Vietnam War, anti-Vietnam protesters also took over that hall, and they renamed it after a Palestinian child, a young girl who was killed by Israel after she lost all her family. She loses all her family, and there's a video of her that goes viral asking for help. And as the rescuers are coming to help her out,
Yeah.
the rescuers get killed, and she gets killed herself. So she named it after her. And obviously, I don't believe in any sort of violence when you're protesting. I don't think the pro-Palestinian protesters should have taken over that building, because what happened last night? NYPD took over
Yeah.
and they shut down the entire encampment. They arrested everybody.
Right.
Because once you start vandalizing things and you get aggressive and you get violent, you lose credibility.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really want to encourage these pro-Palestinian protesters to do is to remain nonviolent. It is so powerful of an image to send out. You know what I'm saying? When you're very peaceful in your demands and you're exercising your First Amendment rights,
Right.
that's the right way to do it. That's how civil disobedience is supposed to work. You don't use violence. You can't resort to violence, even if the other side provokes you. You can
Yeah.
defend yourself, but that's what happened in UCLA. That's why I'm like proud of a lot of the students there, because they were defending themselves. I mean, they were not the aggressors. What happened at UCLA is the pro-Israeli mob attacked the Palestinians. You know what's interesting about this, by the way?
What's that?
Look at what's happening in Israel. There's these Israeli settlers that go into the West Bank and attack and they attack Palestinians living there. They're called settlers, and they do the same thing. They provoke the Palestinians.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? Literally, what's happening across the world is
Yeah.
happening in the United States. They're violently attacking these peaceful Palestinian people
Yeah.
that are pro-Palestinian protesters. By the way, a lot of them are not Palestinian. They're just advocating.
Yeah.
And they're just violently attacking them for no reason. You don't have the right to attack somebody.
Yeah. You don't have the right to attack somebody.
And a lot of the press is trying to portray as pro-Israeli, pro-Palestinian group are clashing. Why are they clashing? Because the Israelis are literally attacking the Israeli mob. I don't want to say Israeli because I want to be specific. The Israeli pro-Israeli mob attacked these student protesters, and they're defending themselves. Obviously, there's going to be a clash. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
yeah.
I get what you're saying, dude. I'm just so against all this. Like,
What are you specifically against?
I'm against Americans attacking other Americans, or
Agreed.
Americans arguing with other Americans on. I'm just against this.
I'm for arguing because arguing
It's
is healthy, yeah, but not in a debating,
is different. But like arguing, like a lot of, I mean, just as much as like baton can hurt somebody. A word can hurt somebody too. Words provoke a lot. Words provoke more than violence provokes, in my opinion. When somebody attacks somebody, it's like, this is the final solution. I'm gonna put you on the floor, and then you can't talk, right? That's not provoking. That's just finishing it. But words provoke situations, and when words provoke it, other people get involved. Their people get involved, and that's what I'm against, man. It's like, it's so crazy right now. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just don't believe that another American should be doing this to another American because it's happening on the other side of the world. I get you want to voice your opinion, and you can do so. Like, be glad. I'm not saying you have to live off of Matt's words, right? But it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know why the pro-Israeli mob attacked the pro-Palestinians. They could have counter-protested. It would have been really powerful to send out a message. Like, there's, you know what could have been really amazing to see is two Americans. Let's say one of them is pro-Israeli.
Yeah.
One of them is pro-Palestinian, and they have diverging perspectives, and they're protesting, like standing opposite each other peacefully.
Yeah, that'd have been fine.
That is what America stands for.
Yeah.
Two groups of people that disagree with each other can do so peacefully. That obviously did not happen because one side, the pro-Israeli mob, was being aggressive, and they provoked the Palestinian protesters who were just trying to maintain their encampment.
Are there any, I guess, stories of pro-Palestinians attacking pro-Israelis? Just in the past,
physically?
Yes,
no,
October.
No, not. I mean, look,
like in America.
I'm sure there was one extreme person because there's always extremes on both sides. But for the most part,
like a group. I'm saying like a group of pro-Palestinians.
I haven't seen it. If there's something,
look it up.
I don't think that.
I'm just curious because I hate being on one side. There's always a reason for the other side.
But the thing is, and if you look at, I was at USC, the protest there.
Yeah. And
there wasn't being any. There wasn't a mob out there attacking Israeli students.
No.
Now, one thing I do want to say.
Yeah.
This is good. One thing I do want to say is, as we search for this, Palestinian. Palestinian?
Oh, you connect your hotspot.
I'm connected to the hotspot.
That's what I'm trying to get at, bro. Like, what we're looking up right now is, just so you guys know, we're looking at pro-Palestinian. If there's been any attacks on pro-Israelis, that's my whole thing. I don't like talking about why one side is right and one side is wrong. Let's just talk. I mean, I get everyone has like a bias or whatever, and like we have to talk about it. That's just our opinion. But we should. There has to be a reason on both ends.
So.
Yeah.
Here's what's happened.
Okay.
In protests across the United States, at UCLA, an Israeli mob attacked Palestinian protesters. In no other university has a pro-Palestinian mob went out of their way and attacked Israeli students.
Oh, so it's fact that's never happened.
It has, because look, the Israelis are not protesting anything. They're counter-protesting.
Stabbed in, I mean,
yeah. See, what you're referring to is, have there been acts of anti-Semitism on these campuses? Absolutely. There are some very extreme people all over the world.
Right.
There was a swastika. Somebody drew a swastika at USC.
Right.
I'm against that. Why would you do something like that? And we just saw somebody, a Jewish Yale student got stabbed in the eye with a Palestinian flag. Again, not the right strategy to do, not the right thing to do. Yeah. But this is an individual thing. No mob has went out of their way and attacked Jewish students. That hasn't happened in any campus, not as far as I'm aware of. And yesterday, again, I keep repeating myself, but what happened in UCLA was unprecedented.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a specific, what you're saying, okay, read the headline that you just pulled up.
Jewish Yale student stabbed in eye with Palestinian flag during rowdy protest mob behavior. Sahar Tartak said that assailant disappeared into the crowd and remains unpunished. Okay.
So stabbed in the eye. So Jewish stabbed in the eye with Palestinian. Where's the wound? She got stabbed in the eye. This is a very serious allegation. I'm just trying to see, like.
No, I have no idea. This is the first time I'm seeing it. Wait,
left.
Yeah, jabbed her in the eye with a Palestinian.
So flag. Jabbed. So it's not stabbed. That's jabbed.
Yeah.
See how misleading headlines can be, by the way? This is Fox News. Their headline is Jewish Yale student stabbed in the eye with Palestinian flag during rowdy protest. Turns out it was a jab. And again, this is not something again, I repeat myself. Any protester out there, do not use any violence.
Right.
Once you start using violence, you lose credibility. You open the way for these people to crack down on you.
Yeah.
And again, in this headline, as we're reading, see how misleading news can be?
Yeah, it
The
can
headline
be.
is stabbed,
Right.
which makes me think somebody stabbed her in the eye.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. Somebody jabbed her with a flag. And again, this is not the right thing to do. You should not be doing this. But to your point, there has not been a single instance of a pro-Palestinian mob
Yeah.
going out of the way and attacking Israeli people that are peacefully protesting. I haven't seen it. If there is something, I will sit down and I will I will
Yeah,
condemn that. I will condemn
Right.
that because I'm against hate in all sorts of
Right.
ways, means, or whatever fashion.
Yeah, I think we can all say like what happened yesterday just wasn't right. You shouldn't be attacking.
wasn't
You
right.
just shouldn't be attacking people.
What the
in general.
pro-Israeli mob did was not right. You can't condone it. Like,
people in general shouldn't be attacking other people for no reason.
I agree.
That's it. I don't like. I know.
But
it's
that's what
just-
you have to
that's just-
call
I
out the
know,
reality. I know it's
understand,
divisive, but
it's-
you have to call out what's
It's
happening.
too divisive though, bro. If we the whole thing is this. If we just like I know it's impossible. Trust me, I know what I'm about to say is impossible. But if we just said attacking people for no reason, regardless of what it is, isn't right, and people shouldn't do it, and if that was just like a common thing in our culture, things like this wouldn't be happening. Things in this country wouldn't be happening like this because it's just not a good thing to do as like a country. And so now we have pro-Palestinians and pro-Israelis attacking these people and anti.
But wait, only
Go
a
ahead.
pro-Israeli mob is attacked.
Whatever.
Yeah, I
Well,
want to be specific and
you want to say a
accurate.
mob though, but there are this is just reality. There are pro-Palestinians attacking Jewish people or Israeli people in general.
Yes,
I'm not saying there's mobs. I'm
that
not
has
saying
happened.
but
that
there
has
are
happened.
people attacking other people on both
Yes.
sides. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And not only with this, with anything, right? I mean, even pro-abortion people, pro-life, like these are like they attack each other all the time. But if we just had a common ground that just attacking people for no reason, other human beings for no reason, isn't right as citizens, as like civilians, like it's just not right. I think not only with this, but in general, like this stuff would be happening less.
I would love peace, man. I would love world peace. I would love peace in America, but our condition as humans in times of extreme stress and in times where we feel distressed, we react with emotions.
Right.
We don't use logic. And when that's the human nature, these things are supposed to happen. That's why we have the police. That's why we have all these institutions to protect ourselves from us,
Yeah.
right? And the reason why I have been advocating for the I don't want to say pro-Palestine, it's just human rights. At the end of the day, what's happening? What's happening is Israel is literally killing thousands of innocent civilians. That's what's happened. And your taxpayer dollars,
Yeah.
my taxpaying dollars are funding that. And I don't want that to happen. I think there should be protests across America against the United States government because we should not be supporting a country that is committing war crimes and killing innocent civilians.
Yeah,
I
agree.
think that's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all we're saying. And bro, one thing that has been really surprising to me across all these college campuses, for the most part, they've been peaceful protests. For the most part, like I'm shocked. They've been very peaceful. I was at USC just to see the protest, and it was peaceful. There was food that was bought by the faculty. The students were sitting down. It looked like an organized protest. I actually tried to talk to some of the students, and they're like, talk to our media liaison. They have media liaisons, so they're very organized.
Yes, organized.
These are smart kids. They know what they're doing, and they're not just some. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, these kids don't know what's happening in Israel. They're just there to be like ditch finals or like act cool." I'm sure there's one or two kids like that in every group, because obviously, but the far majority of these kids, they actually care about the Palestinian cause, and they are enraged that their tuition dollars are or might potentially be going to Israeli companies that are actively involved in the killing of innocent Palestinian civilians in the war that's happening.
Right. No, I totally get it. I don't think any government should be putting money into another country's war.
300 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Dude, 300 billion.
Yeah, but America puts so
Adjusted
much
for
money in
inflation.
every country, bro.
Israel's the
war.
most, by far
Okay,
the most.
fair. I'm just saying. I don't want to say I'm against Israel's money. I'm against every country getting American dollars for their war. Like that, I'm just against that in general. I'm not saying only Israel, whatever. I just don't like American dollars being spent in other countries. That's just not something I care about.
Okay, if you look at geopolitics, right?
Yeah.
America has invested interests. So it
Yes.
gives aid to my country, Pakistan,
Right. Okay.
right? It gives economic aid to my country. It gives economic aid to a lot of developing
Yeah.
countries because they have treaties and alliances and contracts, and there's a lot of geopolitics being played, right?
Of
Because
course.
China, if you don't invest in a country, China will.
Yeah.
China's already doing that in Africa. What
Right.
they literally do is they literally what it's very tricky what they do.
Okay.
The Belt and Road Initiative that they have in Africa
What's
is
that?
the Belt and Road Initiative.
Yeah.
Basically, what it is they invest in countries very strategically. Where if they can, they give them loans,
Mhm.
very huge amounts of loans. But if they can't,
China.
yeah, China
Okay.
does. If they can't give them the loans back by a particular date or time, they just own the land. They're like, okay, fine. Like,
Yeah.
if you can't give us the money, we'll just take over this portion of the area and
Right.
we'll make a military base there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like that is very strategic.
It is
now,
strategic.
So that's what the Belt and Road Initiative
Got it,
is. You
okay.
invest in these countries,
Yeah.
and if they can't pay back the loans, they'll just take over a particular part of the land or
Okay.
area or something else.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. That. I mean, that's to me. That's not okay either.
I know, but you understand what
I
I'm
understand
saying,
what
right?
you're saying. Though. We're playing
chess being
politics. Yeah.
yeah, you're playing chess and
yeah.
playing politics, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like American tax-paying dollars should not be going out to help kill innocent people anywhere in the world.
Right.
But it happens to be that Israel has gotten the most amount of money out of
Right.
any of the countries that have received aid. $300 billion.
Yeah.
So that's what these people are saying. Like, stop this, please. We're Americans. We have the right
But there's
to
a
protest.
game being played in America that Israel's playing, right? I mean, maybe.
What do you mean, what game?
I don't know specifically what game. I'm not in any of these circles at all, but there are
Yeah.
circles out there, whatever you want to call these circles in the media world or like in these different types of industries where Israel's definitely funding big tycoons. And like that's why money's going into Israel. That's my point. There's money going into Israel because these Israelis are in America playing a game.
Because that's what you're. I mean, look. I don't know specifically the economic
Yeah, I don't know
system of Israel.
details,
Right.
but why? Why else? What makes sense? Why would we?
Well,
put money
Israel's doing. Israel has succeeded economically. I will give them credit for the last 75 years.
Yeah,
If you look at,
100%.
but they have a lot of like key investments, and the Israeli people have done well for themselves. And
So have many countries. So has
So
Japan.
have many countries,
so,
right.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
overall,
but for a
Japan
relatively
has,
young
but-
country, Israel's done very well for themselves. But
Yeah.
at what cost? At the cost of literally having a modern day apartheid, where they single-handedly victimize over 2 million Palestinians. They're being victimized. There's no other way to put it. They've literally, excuse me, what happened just recently is Benjamin Netanyahu has greenlit
Mhm.
a ground invasion of Rafah,
Yeah.
which is like a ground invasion. They're going in
Yeah.
and they don't care. And the thing that strikes me the most, bro,
Right.
is the Biden policy on this has been so cowardly. Joe Biden just refuses to stand up to Benjamin Netanyahu publicly. He
Hmm.
won't do it. Like he'll say, like, "Oh yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu, don't violate any war crimes or international conventions."
Yeah.
But then they're like, "We stand with Israel. Israel has a right to defend itself." They've already proven their point. They've killed over 40,000 Palestinians now, bro.
Yeah.
Like I think you know what I'm saying. Like
I know what you're saying.
I think there should be a ceasefire. Would you agree? Like there should be a ceasefire where we just have a peace deal, and just Hamas returns the hostages back to Israel, and there's peace. That's what.
Of course, I don't. It's never gonna happen.
That's like That's what is so shocking to me. Is this?
But bro, this has been reality for hundreds and thousands of years. This is just we're in a more civilized time right now.
way
we
more
can-
civilized.
Okay, I don't want to say way more because it's still happening, but we're in a more civilized time now where there are groups of people in this world where we are able, like, dude, we're fresh out of college, basically. No, I don't want to say fresh, but we're a couple years out of college, right? And we're able to take a step back and say, this isn't okay. In history, man, this has never been the case. There was never 22, 23-year-olds taking a step back and saying, like, we shouldn't be doing this. The countries were just doing it because they were doing
No,
it.
no, no. Okay,
There was no say. Where was there
That's
say?
there's been so many. What do you mean? You're saying nobody protested?
No, I'm
against?
not. What I'm saying is
What are you saying?
these countries, okay, I'm gonna use an example, like in Persia, for example, right?
Okay.
Ancient Persia. Who is telling Persia don't go take all the land, don't go to North Africa and take over Egypt? Who's telling them that? Nobody's gonna tell them that. This is just war.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is the reality we live in, bro, is, yeah, it sucks that what's going on right now, but that's forever been reality. It just, we feel like we live in a more civilized time the last 100 years to make it seem like this isn't going to happen. But Israel, regardless, if they want to take Palestine, they're not going to listen to anybody because that's just what their initiative is.
Okay. There's a lot of problems with what you just said in terms
Okay.
of the logic, respectfully. One is just because something has been the reality for a lot of years doesn't give the excuse of what's happening now. So let's say you're right. Let's say nobody ever rose up against any empire and protested. Doesn't mean that needs to be the case today, right? In terms of the logic there. And there were times.
But I'm going to use reverse logic there.
Okay.
Like you said earlier, I wish the world was perfect. I wish there was peace in the world.
Yeah, but
That's just not my whole point with this, bro, is that's just not human nature. You're talking about human nature a lot. It's just not human nature. It's not human nature to give up
human
power.
nature is not genocide. That's what's happening. That's what
human nature is power. And,
it's power,
and
but it's
what does power entail most of the time? Death, a lot of death, a lot of murders, a lot of land takeover.
Mm-hmm.
That's what entails.
But look, man, we're in a time, right?
Mhm.
We're in a time where there's the United Nations, which again, I have a lot of problems with the United Nations
Yeah,
as
they
well,
don't
especially
do
the Security
very much
Council.
anything.
Like you have veto power for 5 countries. That's another tangent. But
Yeah.
my point is, I want to disagree with what you said.
Yeah.
There's been so many times where people resisted. The whole history of the world is people resisting against the oppressor. So your argument of ancient Persia is not true. There's, I can guarantee you, there was people that stood up to Persia and be like, "Stop, don't do this."
But then what happened?
They got crushed.
Of course.
So, but that doesn't mean that. Wait, what is your overall point though?
My overall point is the bigger guy is going to win. That's my point. Who's going to?
That doesn't need to be the case right now.
Maybe it doesn't need to be.
That's
the
what I'm.
case,
That's what these students are saying. That's all they're
but
saying.
it's going to be.
So that's a very pessimistic way to look at things though, because I feel like we're in a time where I'm so proud of Gen Z for standing up for these issues because they're saying violence and genocide and the innocent murder of people does not need to be the norm. Like, wake up, people. That's why I something I really don't like about our older generations, especially like Gen X and people that are even older than that.
Okay.
They're just like, yeah, like the world is a messed up place. People kill everybody, and yeah, just go about your day and go party, smoke weed, or do whatever you want to do as a 20-year-old.
I don't know. I've never heard my parents say go smoke weed and party.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, I'm being extreme again. Now I'm doing what they do to us.
Yeah.
But here, hold on. I got good catch there. But my point is, I really respect Gen Z standing up for human rights and just advocating for peace. They're saying this does not need to be the norm. And I'm proud of them for doing that. And I encourage them to remain nonviolent. Be peaceful, and you'll see the results. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you have a point. Human history is disgusting in terms of, like, you know, just the total toll of human beings that were killed in war.
Yeah.
Other genocides, the Armenian genocide, you know, the Holocaust.
Yeah.
But that doesn't need to be the norm anymore. We're in a different time where let's actually progress as a society. Like, how many thousands of years are we going to just keep on going like this?
Okay, so let me ask you a hypothetical question, right? So war ends, Palestine, Israel, for some reason, they allow Palestine to keep the land. There's not an issue for land anymore. What's Israel's next move?
So actually, what you just said,
Yeah.
they've refused. So Israel is no longer in favor of a 2-state solution anymore. They're saying
What
one
I'm
state.
Fine.
They're saying Israel only.
If I understand that, bro. What I'm trying to tell you is Palestine gets the land. I don't care what's happening.
What
right now.
land?
The land that they're in right now, bro. Like, they get Gaza, they get everything. They get everything that they want, which is their land. What do you think Israel's going to do?
I don't know. It's a hypothetical. I don't know what Israel's going to do.
They
They won't allow that to happen.
Bro. They're going to get pent up and angry. And then something else is going to happen. This is going to spiral further.
Okay. That is faulty logic because
that's not faulty, but that's my opinion.
So what does that mean? So what is this? What is your, like, what's the lesson here? Like, what you're saying, right? You're saying, tell me if I'm wrong. You're saying things are gonna get worse anyway, so why care? Like, whatever we do now doesn't matter. Is that the right way to phrase what you're saying? And at the end of the day, that's what you're saying.
Bro, no, that's not what I'm saying, bro. This is what happens, especially with people that know how to debate. What they do is they construe an argument to put it against you. That's not what I'm trying to say.
What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to tell you, man, is if they get the land, like, regardless of what happens, things are going to get worse. It doesn't matter whether Palestine gets the land, whether Israel gets the land. Somebody is going to get hurt more. If Palestine, whatever, the two-party solution is done, even if it is done, if Palestine does happen to get this land, Israel is going to construe some strategy against and create some proxy war. This is just what's going to happen, bro.
Okay.
So my lesson, I guess I don't have a lesson here. I'm just kind of stating the facts of what will happen. There's no benefit. Even if all these pro-Palestinians, they get what they want, all these colleges divest, and Palestine gets their land, and all this stuff happens, there's going to be a bigger war later on. And if Palestine doesn't get the land and Israel gets the land, there's going to be a bigger war going on too. Either way, it's a shit situation.
Okay. A
Yes.
hypothetical is not a fact. So your entire
yeah.
argument is based on a hypothetical.
No, but the fact, you're right. The hypothetical is not the fact, but a fact remains that this will get worse, regardless of
But
what
that's
happens.
the hypothetical. You're speculating. We
No,
don't know.
what I'm speculating is Palestine getting their own land. That's what I'm speculating on. What I'm
But
not
that-
speculating on, somebody's going to win, right? It's either going to be Palestine or Israel. It's probably, I mean, if Israel wins, it's just going to get worse.
It's not even a war. It's a straight up genocide. They're literally. It's how is it a
Bro.
fair war?
It's not. I'm not saying it's fair, but it
Yeah.
is war.
Yeah.
So what happens, bro, in debates is people use words to construct a certain type of logic, and that's what you're doing. You can consider it a genocide, but it's still a war. It's still a war that's happening.
Sure. There's a war
Yeah.
that's happening. There is the terrorist group called Hamas, which is
Yes.
I don't agree with what they're doing. They don't have the right strategy in place. But there's a lot of problems with what you said, man, because factually it's inaccurate. One, Israel doesn't want a two-state solution. They've said they don't want
That
it
was a
anymore.
hypothetical, yeah.
So they want a one-state solution.
Right. Okay.
And if you're saying the Palestinians will get their land, and like so Gaza will be Palestine and the West Bank will be Palestine, they're starting from zero now. They have nothing there left.
Either way, they're starting from zero, bro.
I understand that, but you're saying that the reason why I
Yeah.
said what you were trying, the reason why I countered and tried to understand your argument
Yeah.
in that way was, and tell me again if I'm wrong. You're
Yeah.
saying, let's say the Palestinians get their land.
Yeah.
There's a two-state solution. There's peace.
Right.
Regardless, Israel was going to do something in the future that provokes the Palestinians again,
Maybe not Palestinians.
or get their
but
land back.
something. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know anything on this matter, like strategically or politically at all.
Okay.
But just historically speaking, yes, something will happen.
So you're saying, so even if they divest, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Is that the right? I'm asking you, is that the
Yeah.
right, or is that your argument? It doesn't matter at the end of the day because it's going to get worse in the future. Because I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just genuinely trying to understand. Yeah.
I guess that's what what I'm trying to say is they whatever is something bad is going to happen. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Regardless if there's peace, something bad was going to happen.
Yes.
Okay. So I think that's what I said before. Was your argument was at the end of the day it doesn't matter, right? Because regardless of what happens, there's going to be more conflict in the future.
Yeah.
So my counter to that is, again, it's a hypothetical. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. And I actually agree with you. I agree. Like, regardless of what happens,
Yeah.
Israel is always, I don't want to say always because I have hope, right? I fear for the Palestinians still, even if after they get their own land, because
Yeah.
we need to help the Palestinians out then to rebuild their land, to rebuild the hospitals that Israel keeps destroying, to rebuild the schools that Israel
Yeah.
keeps targeting.
I don't know.
So your argument, I disagree with that further
Yeah.
because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is what's happening right now. And I think calling for peace and calling for divestments and calling on the United States government to stop funding a genocide is progressing us as a society because we're calling for decency. We're calling for human rights. And I have a more hopeful view of the world. I know there's a lot of bad that's happening in the world right now, but I see the good as well.
Mm.
And I think in the long run, humanity and goodness will prevail. And so, in my opinion,
Yeah.
calling for peace and doing these student protests is putting us in that direction towards more stability.
I hope you're right, brother.
I don't know if I'm right. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying I hope you're right. Does the past predict the future? Is that a fair statement?
I don't think so. Not
You
always.
don't think the past predicts the future?
Not always. Does it sometimes? Yes.
Almost every single time with power, almost every single time it's the truth.
But a lot of, so this is my problem with people that, because you're not, I've heard this argument a lot of times. People say, the world's always been a messed up place. It's always going to be a messed up place.
That's the truth.
But that's a very reductive way to think about the world.
But it's the truth.
But how do you progress then? How do you create solutions? How do you actually get better as a society?
We're humans, man. We're humans.
But if you have that mentality, we're never gonna get to a place where we need to be as a society. If we have this mentality and this like victimhood perspective on humanity, like we're just always. It is.
It's not victim.
It is victimhood though. Okay. How is that not victimhood, bro? You're saying we're always gonna be messed up. This is just the way we were born, and this is the way we're gonna be for generations to come.
That's just humans.
That's being a victim though. That's literally called playing a victim.
I don't know.
Is that unfair? What word would you put it?
I don't know if I don't think there's a word, bro. I don't know if there's a word.
I think it's pessimism.
Yeah, it's pessimism. That's true. I'll say that.
I like how in the beginning you would say like peace and stuff, and loud. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not perfect.
I know,
bro.
we're all humans, bro.
What I'm saying is, I wish it was that way. I do. I truly wish it was. I
Same here, bro.
I don't think that's ever going to happen ever. I don't think it will, unless Tesla and Elon come up with like a symbiotic world where we get a chip and we're all on the same wavelength. It's not gonna happen.
We'll never get to be perfect in any sense. Humans can't be perfect. It's just the journey to get to as close to perfect as possible. That's my argument. That's where I stand. And at the end of the day, though, I think the lesson, and for me at least, I don't want to speak for you. You can speak for yourself. The lesson for me here is we have a constitution in America. A lot of countries don't have a democratic constitution that gives us the ability to speak up freely about issues that we care about. Right now, there's a group in our population, students, who are advocating for the Palestinian cause, which is calling to end the war, end the oppression that the Palestinian people are facing. They should have the right to protest. We should not be calling in the LAPD to quell a bunch of like 19, 20-year-old skinny kids who never go to the gym and don't pose a threat unless they're being violent. If they're being violent, then again, protesters, you lose your credibility.
Right there, you're like, see, that's my whole problem with like, these types of debates. Why do you have to say that these are 19, 20-year-old skinny kids that don't go to the gym, like things like
if they're being peaceful, they shouldn't. I'm just characterizing.
But just say how it is, bro. Just say how it is.
I'm saying how it is. I was there. I was literally a bunch of skinny kids. I was there at the USC protest. I saw what I saw. I'm not.
Come on,
okay,
man.
maybe there was a bunch of obese. Actually, you know, you're right. It's America. So let's say 30% of them are obese. 70% of them are normal. You're actually right. You're actually right. You're actually. Thank you for holding me.
40% are obese.
40% of these protesters are obese, folks. 40%. The rest of them are probably skinny. A very good factual catch.
Shit. No,
but I see what you're saying.
Funny, but what I'm trying to say is that just like we don't have to put these characteristics on things.
I think we're agreeing on the same thing.
We are 100%. I don't think there should be war, but I do.
No, not war. They shouldn't.
Sorry, protest. I don't think there should be. Sorry,
they shouldn't
protest.
No. They shouldn't quell. LAPD shouldn't come in and start like stopping peaceful protesters from protesting.
No, they shouldn't be doing
if they're being violent, stop.
Yeah,
obviously. But yeah, that's what we agree.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Now I'm making it because I agree. I am on the I support the Palestinian
cause. It is a bias, though.
Obviously, I'm biased. But we looked at it, right? Like we looked at that headline. There's bias everywhere on both sides.
There's always gonna be bias.
But what happened last night?
What's our job as podcasters, bro? As people trying
to be objective.
It's to be objective.
As objective as possible, for sure. And if we look at objectively,
and speak with facts.
But and if we look at with facts and with objectivity, what happened at yesterday UCLA? Who was the aggressor?
The aggressor was
a pro-Israeli mob.
Again, bro, characteristics.
But I know, but you're
as a mob, bro.
It's not
these pro-Israeli people that attacked these we don't have to say like use.
But
these
that's what happened, though.
Words.
But that's what happened.
But
that's a fact.
It's vindictive, though, saying a mob.
But it was a mob. That's what happened. I'm describing the truth. We pulled up a headline, right?
Okay,
Look,
okay.
it's because I want to be consistent. We pulled up a headline of Fox News.
Yeah.
Which said,
course, I understand they're going to be. Yes.
Which I agreed. Like we looked at this headline. They said a Jewish Yale student was stabbed.
Yes,
and they weren't stabbed.
They were jabbed.
They were jabbed.
Which
Again,
is technically a type of stab. I want to.
But still, it's anti-Semitism.
Yes.
I don't condone that.
Yes, true.
But that's what happened. I'm describing what happened.
Like stabbed. That's even being vindictive. Like what I'm trying to say, bro, is. It's our job to be as objective, like you said, as objective.
I
as
agree
possible.
with you.
We don't have to use characteristics.
But objectivity calls for specificity. Objectivity calls for specificity. And my whole thing about this conflict, it's a bigger evaluation because a pro-Israeli mob attacked pro-Palestinian protesters. You can laugh at that, but that's what happened.
Bro, why can't you say a pro like? I don't know.
But that's what we have to specify. Because if I just say Americans
that's
attacked,
fine. You can say whatever you want.
because that's what happened, though.
I understand, but it's like painting this picture. It's painting this picture.
And look, bro, I don't want this. I don't want somebody listening to this and like have some sort of hate against Israel or the people of Israel. Hold on, I want to be specific. I don't want them to have any hate against the people of Israel or any Jewish people, because Judaism is a peaceful religion. Jewish people, they're amazing people, just like Muslim people, right? And there's extremes on both sides.
Of course.
But what's happening on U.S. campuses right now, the Palestinian protesters, for the most part, have been peaceful. And again, I don't know. This can change.
Right. No, I agree.
Somebody can take this and like put it as a clip and haunt me, like, oh, look at you said this. But for the most part, as we know, Columbia University, these students were violent, and I agree. Like, they face the consequences. If you're gonna vandalize and be violent, you'll face the consequences. As long as you're non-violent, I will fight for your right to free speech.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
See, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just don't like us using characteristics to describe certain things, to paint a picture going in a certain way. Let's just state, like,
I agree. I agree. What you're saying is, let's not be more divisive, because once we start painting us against them, it's gonna get. But the reality is, some things need to be called out, right? And we don't want other mobs like this to attack these protesters. So we're saying, just don't do it. Don't go out of your way to attack peacefully people. That's what we're saying.
Fair. That's a fair
and I actually appreciate your willingness. I actually appreciate your willingness to call on people to be less divisive, because in these times, bro, people our age, it's very easy to get radicalized and to actually believe a certain group of people are bad just because of their faith.
Not even our age,
religion
in general, and like every age, bro.
Every age, but particularly when you're young, it's easy to like believe in extremes. Right?
You know why it's easy to believe in?
Because you don't have life experience.
You don't have life. You're a sponge. You're just absorbing information from everywhere. When you're older,
and you just want to fit in. You just want to fit in.
Yeah. You want to fit in.
But that's not what these pro-Palestinian protesters are doing.
Well, I'm not going to say that. I do believe that there are some people trying to fit in with their
There's always going to
be people like
that.
But
for the most part, I respect how peaceful they have been.
Yeah.
And I encourage them to be more peaceful.
Yeah.
Be like more peaceful. Go out of your way to be more peaceful.
I want to
kill them with peace. How about that?
Kill them with kindness.
Kill them with peace.
Kill them with kindness.
Kill them with kindness. Yeah.
That's true. I understand where you're coming from. I've been all over. I've been playing devil advocate here too, right? Which
I appreciate.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything wrong with Israeli or Palestinians, what anybody is doing. I'm just trying to state, like, I guess in the beginning, what I was trying to state is, the solution to this isn't, my opinion, the solution to the Palestinian-Israeli issue right now in America isn't directly fighting it. So my original statement was, we need to change our structure as a culture. If we change our structure as a culture, then we can move forward. Doesn't mean that anything in history, like, and my next point with history, right, where I was contradicting myself in that, like, just because we've done bad in the past means we will do bad in the future. It's the truth. That's going to happen, right? But in order to move forward, to your point, like growth, we need to change our viewpoints as an entire culture, as an entire country. 350 million of us need to adapt as much as possible to this belief system. That's what I'm trying to get at.
And I think the conversation we had some heated moments today, but for the most part, like, at the end of the day, you're still my best friend. Like, it doesn't, like, what we disagree on so much politically. This is just, we're just scratching the surface here. Well, you'll see more debates.
Yeah.
But like, I think this is a good example for the rest of the country to see, because we need to go out of our way to expose ourselves to different perspectives or viewpoints.
I agree with that.
So that argument. I really like what you said, because we're all living in our little bubbles and we're not exposing ourselves to other perspectives.
Yes.
And we're becoming more and more extreme in what we believe. We're not exposing ourselves to be disproven about something. Like, I was willing to hear you out, what you had to say.
Yeah. And same. Yeah. I appreciate the civil conversation. Dude, we don't even disagree a lot on politics, on everything. We have a lot of disagreements in general, right?
Exactly.
We just need to learn as a society that we're not always right, and they're not always wrong, and they're not always right, we're not always wrong. Let's just talk.
Just listen.
Yeah.
Just like, we're open to listening, you know?
There's nothing wrong in that.
And that's how you grow as a society. The more you listen to everybody's concerns, and it can be hard to listen to everybody. The more you listen, though, the more you grow as a person.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Yeah. The more you listen, the more you know. And the more you know, you can form better opinions. Not just opinions because your friend is saying something or your parent said something in the past, right? You can learn to form your own mind, your own body. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know, but that's important.
Absolutely. All right, I think that's a good note to end the podcast on. Hopefully somebody takes something positive away. And again, I just want to
Yeah.
say one more time, this whole conversation, we both condone acts of anti-Semitism, acts of Islamophobia.
Yeah.
We're not making any judgments on Israeli people. I was criticizing the Israeli government, which is corrupt, led by who I believe is a war criminal, Benjamin Netanyahu. And I think we should have the right to criticize governments. That doesn't mean the people are bad.
100%. Every government is corrupt. I want to make that clear. Every government.
Oh
on
man,
this
you're opening up
planet
another
is corrupt.
Pandora's box
That's
for another
fine.
episode.
My whole thing,
I
bro,
agree. There's
is
corruption everywhere.
they're everywhere, dude.
Yeah.
The American government, there's tons of corruption
Yeah.
happening. It's hidden. It's better hidden, but doesn't mean it's not happening.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
Every country, there's going to be issues. It's just, yeah.
Specifically, though, what's happening in Israel, again, that's the topic that we discussed today. And again, the death toll keeps going up. Innocent Palestinians are dying, and our tax-paying dollars are being used to fund this war, which I don't think is justified. And I'll leave it at that.